All right. Hello and welcome to the newest episode of the New Year's Six podcast. Today I will be doing my final postseason top 25 rankings for the upcoming college football season. We are 5 days away. We are almost there. So let's look forward to it. Let's get excited about it. So what this ranking is, this is not a preseason ranking. This is not Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Texas 3, Oregon 4, Alabama 5. That is not what this ranking is. This is the final ranking predictor of what things are going to look like at the end of conference championship games. Because I think it's pretty easy to predict, who your early season favorites are going to be. But if at the end, if at the beginning of this past season, you said I think Missouri's a top 10 team, people would laugh at you. But they ended up being a top 10 team. If you said, "Oh, TCU is going to make the national championship game with the new head coach in 2022," people are going to laugh at you. But these things happen. So this is an attempt to predict what the end of the season is going to look like, based on the schedule, based on standings, based on matchups, everything along those lines. Then we'll get to the playoffs and figure out who's going to win it all. So without further ado, let's get started. We'll go straight into 25 through 21. So 25 through 21. We're going to start it off. At 25, we're going to go Liberty. I have them winning Conference USA. They have a Charmin soft schedule. It's going to be a breeze for them to get to the end and end the season with one loss or be undefeated, something along those lines. So I got Liberty as your Conference USA champion and in the top 25, but at the bottom of it, just the way that it shakes out sometimes. I think their record is going to be better than their talent when you compare them up to everyone else. At number 24, I got Virginia Tech. I think this is a big year for the Hokies. Now, I don't have them in the conference championship game. I have them kind of in the middle of the pack of the conference. But I think Virginia Tech is a player. I think they got some serious fuel in the fire this year. And they're going to end this year as a real contender in the ACC this year and beyond. I think this is a good foundation year with a lot of seniors in play, a lot of good production in place. But you've got to keep it moving on past this year. At 23, I'm going with James Madison. So this is my Sun Belt champion, kind of a theme here early on, sticking with the group of 5 champs and a few others. But, I think James Madison is going to roll through the Sun Belt. I think they're going to be a good team down there. And the Sun Belt's a higher level conference than what CUSA is. So I do have them a little bit higher than Liberty. But James Madison should have no problem going through the year with, 1 to 2 losses and, fighting for that final playoff spot. In the 12-team playoff we've got coming up. I got UTSA at 22. So this is why I'm winning the American. Should be a good year for the Roadrunners. Should be the time where it all comes together, where everything kind of works itself out. And, as a result, they win their conference as well. I think UTSA's got a lot of firepower on offense. They got the right head coach and should be a fun season over in San Antonio. And then at 21, to wrap up this slide, I'm going with Oklahoma State. I think they're in a good year. They're a good team and they're slated to have a good year. If they can get the quarterback situation figured out, they got the best running back in the whole country right now, and that's going to be a problem for teams. The defense should be good. They got the right coach. So if the quarterback situation is fine and they get Bowman to play up to a average level, Oklahoma State's going to be in the thick of the playoff hunt for the entire season. So that's my 25 through 21, Liberty, Vatech, James Madison, UTSA, and Oklahoma State. So now let's move on to 20 through 16. So kicking it off here, we got kind of a hodgepodge of teams, very ACC heavy. And it kind of makes sense compared to the rest of the power conferences that are coming up. But at 20, I got Boise State. I got them winning the Mountain West, and at this point, that's got to be the strongest group of 5 conference winner left. So Boise State, you are making the playoffs. I Again, I think there's a good coach in place. I think there's a lot of momentum around the program right now. If they can get average quarterback play, kind of like Oklahoma State, if they can get good enough quarterback play, improving quarterback play, Boise State is going to be in the thick of it, winning their conference. I think their conference is kind of top heavy. It's really between them and Fresno State, and I think Boise State does have the edge there. So I think Boise is going to be on their way to a Mountain West championship and a playoff spot. 19, I'm going Florida State. So a little bit of a decrease from last year when they were a top 5, top 10 team. I might have them closer to top 20 this time. There's a lot of replacement throughout the roster, a lot of turnover this year compared to previous 3 years. That being said, I still think they're a quality team. I still think they're going to give the conference a run for its money and put everyone in a position to think to themselves, Florida State might make the playoffs this year, might represent the ACC. I got 18. I'm going to go with SMU. Their first year in the ACC. They're going to make a splash. They have a quality quarterback. They have a favorable schedule, and I think they're ready for the challenges that lie ahead with making that jump to a big conference. Is it going to happen instantly? Maybe, maybe not. But I got a lot of belief that SMU is going to be one of the better teams in the ACC by the end of the year. 17, I got Louisville, kind of the same deal as SMU, but returning production. They got a great head coach. Schedule's pretty favorable outside of that Notre Dame game. They got a lot of the weaker opponents in the ACC, and the tough ones they have are predominantly at home. So I don't have them in a conference championship, but I got them right in the mix of things, and right where they kind of need things to be for this program. So I think Louisville's due for a good year. They're always going to be sneaky competitive. They're always going to be pushing the limit than what people think they're going to be, and should be a fun year for Cardinals fans. 16, I'm going Ole Miss. A lot of hype around this program this year. A lot of talk about who they picked up in the transfer portal, fixing the defense. All of that is coming out this year. I think they're just going to finish on the outside of that playoff picture looking in. But again, should still be a quality year for Ole Miss. I think Lane Kiffin's an excellent head coach, but just not going to happen at this point. Looking at all the obstacles they're going to face. Ole Miss has a difficult schedule, just like every team in the SEC does. So I think they're just going to finish, right outside of that kind of playoff contender, bracket of the final standings here. So that's going to take us to 15 through 11. 15, I'm going Clemson. That is your ACC conference champion. Based on my prediction, that's where I have them at. So they will get that number 4 seed. They will get a first round bye, and they'll be in a spot to see who the winner of their matchup is going to be. But I mean, I think Dabo and team has a bounce back year. They still got a good defense. They still have a run game mentality to get things done. I think Kate Klubnik has a big bounce back year, and Clemson finds their identity over the course of this season and puts themselves in a position to succeed for this year. Wins their conference, gets that first round bye, and we'll see where they end up in the playoff picture soon to come. 14, I got Texas. I know that's a little below what we were expecting for them this year. Again, it's a move to a tougher conference in the SEC. It's going to take a little bit of time. You play Michigan on the road as well. Definitely a tough schedule for Texas, and I think they're going to have a very respectable year, but it's not going to be a playoff bound year. Just too much in the tank for everywhere else. I think Texas may drop a game or two that keeps them out of that playoff picture, keeps them out of contention when it's all said and done. But still going to be a great year for Texas. Quinn Ewers, the run game, the defense, the O-line, like all those pieces that are coming together. Texas is going to have a spectacular year over in Austin. I got North Carolina at 13. This is the one I think people are sleeping on. North Carolina is an underdog in their first game against Minnesota. We're going to talk about them next week when we do our week one previews. But North Carolina has probably the softest schedule in the ACC. And, I think the only opponent they're going to play that is potentially, they play FSU and they play NC State. I think they're going to be their only two ranked opponents the entire year. And they got one of those at home at minimum. I think FSU is on the road. So from there, North Carolina might be able to just sleepwalk their way to a 10-win season. You still got Omari and Hampton at running back. You still got a defense that should be better. Yes, you're replacing Drake May, but you're replacing with Max Johnson, who I think should be serviceable enough for North Carolina. But time will tell. We'll see what this team looks like week one against Minnesota. Can they get that done? We will see. But I think North Carolina is in a position this year to be right outside the playoff picture and be in contention for the ACC. Number 12, I got Texas Tech. So, again, I think, this is the year Joey McGuire brings it back together. There's been a lot of hype around this program for years, just never lived up to that program or to that potential. And this is the year I think Texas Tech gets it done. I think, they end up at, as one of the top teams in the Big 12. They're fighting for a playoff spot, a conference championship spot, as often as they can. And from there, Texas Tech makes this an option and an opportunity where they're going to evolve as a program this year. You'll see the work that McGuire has put in as a head coach for Texas Tech, and all the pieces kind of coming together this year as they make their way through the Big 12 and into the conference hunt and into the playoff hunt. Number 11, I got Iowa. If Iowa can get an offense that is even mediocre, they're winning the national championship. And they, again, one of the easiest schedules in the Big Ten. They go to Ohio State, and I think they have Nebraska at home. But you avoid Oregon, you avoid Penn State, you avoid Michigan. And those are all teams we have not talked about yet. They're coming. So Iowa, if they just get even reasonable offensive play and quarterback play, they're going to be a beast. I do think that lack of strength of schedule, or that weakness of schedule, keeps them just outside of that playoff picture, regardless of what their record looks like. Because I don't have them winning the auto bid, but Iowa could shock us all by winning games 10-3 with 5 safeties, and get themselves into a playoff spot. So that'll take us to 11. Now, this will take us to our top 10. These are our playoff teams. Every single one of these guys is making the playoffs because we have Clemson as an auto bid, Boise State as an auto bid. The final 10 are going to make it, just going to be a matter of the seeding. So, top 10. I got Utah at 10. You get a 16th year starting senior in Cam Rising. That should be big. They did not have that last year, and the quarterback play struggled. You have a phenomenal head coach. I believe the longest or second longest tenured head coach in college football right now, Kyle Whittingham, a guy that punches above his weight class year after year after year. You think Utah's finally going to fall off, they're finally going to underperform, and they find a way to get themselves into the playoff picture or the conference championship picture. But I think Utah is going to be a tough team to beat this year. I think they're overlooked. I think they're underrated. I don't know where they were in the AP so far this year, but I think they're kind of lower on that list. But I think Utah is going to be a team to watch as the season progresses. Number 9, I'm going Penn State. I think this is the year where James Franklin wins a big game. That's the issue that they've had out there. I think Penn State could go 12-0, 11-1. That's a very real possibility. I think their schedule matches up very well. They have Ohio State at home, which is huge, and then I believe they go to USC. But that's about it. The rest of the schedule, I mean, they go to West Virginia as well, but that's in a conference game. But Penn State has put themselves in a position. They're always going to have a great defense. They're always going to have a great run game. If Drew Hauer can evolve as a quarterback, this is a top 10 Penn State team with a very real possibility of making it out of the first round. I think there's a lot of hype around the program. There's a lot of promise around the program, but time will tell if big game James rises to the occasion. So number 8, I'm going with Kansas. This is not a basketball ranking. I think this is the year Kansas puts it all together. Kansas, again, the schedule favorability is off the charts. They avoid everyone outside of Kansas State, I believe. I think they avoid Oklahoma State. I think they avoid Texas Tech. I think they avoid, just about everyone. I think that's what. Looking through here real quick. Yeah, those are the main. I think they avoid Oklahoma State. I believe they avoid Texas Tech. They play Kansas State on the road, which may be tough, but I think Kansas will be in the playoff picture. They get their quarterback back after missing him, for a good chunk of last year. I think their coach has done a phenomenal job of rebuilding the program. Again, this was a one-team program a one-win program about 3 years ago. So the turnaround has been phenomenal. But I think Kansas is there, and they are ready to take strides as a program this year and contend for a playoff spot. Number 7, I'm going Oregon. Ton of hype around Oregon this year. Oregon, when it's all said and done, should be one of the best teams of the Big Ten, which in turn would make them one of the best teams in all college football. Oregon's got the quarterback, they've got the receivers, they've got the defense, they've got the coach, they've got everything that they need as a team to be successful this year. It's just going to be a matter of can they get it done. They get Ohio State at home, not on the road. They do go to Michigan, but then you avoid Penn State. You must avoid USC because I don't recall, calling that one out on the schedule. You're going to get Washington, but Washington should be down this year compared to what they've been in the past. It's an Oregon team that's built for what lies ahead, and it's an Oregon team that I think is built to go the distance. So I'm taking them at the 7. I'm taking Missouri at the 6. This is the team that's not getting the love that they should. This is a team that, I saw it on Reddit, I think, where it's like, Ole Miss is getting the love that Missouri should be getting. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. That's 100% spot on. Ole Miss is getting a lot of hype around. Very, with respect, they should be getting some hype. But Missouri's very, very slept on, and I got them just outside of that top 5 ranking. It's going to be, again, you got an experienced quarterback. You got the best wide receiver in the country. Sorry, Travis Hunter. I'm going with Luther Burden. You got a lot of returning production on the defensive side of the ball as well. This is a career-defining year for Missouri. This is a potential generational level team for that program, and I'm sure Columbia is going to be rocking all 15 weeks of the season there before the playoffs start out. Imagine a home game there. That'll be fun. A home playoff game. That'll be fun. So that's going to take us to our top 5. So I'm going Bam at 5. Nick Saban, no Nick Saban, no problem, right? I think this Alabama team is still built to win. You take a coach that had 7 national champions out of the equation. You replace him with a coach that just went to the national championship. The only upgrade would have been Jim Harbaugh, but he wasn't going down there. So I think Kalen DeBoer is in the process of building something very, very special. I think he's in the process of continuing the Alabama dynasty, even if it's not in the name of Saban, it is the name of DeBoer. I know a lot of guys left, but you still got Jalen Milroe, regardless of what you think of him. Experience matters in big-time situations, and he's going to be one of the most experienced quarterbacks in the country. It's still going to be an Alabama defense any way you slice it. It's still going to be an Alabama O-line any way you slice it. So I think Bama's in a spot to contend. Bama's in a spot to put themselves in the playoffs. If they got to host a home game, which by the looks of it they will, so be it. But don't be surprised if Alabama's making a deep run this year. It defies the expectations. 4, I'm going Tennessee. Tennessee is my SEC championship pick. They're getting a first-round bye. But I think this team is legit. I think Heupel is building something special in Knoxville. And I hate to say that because I hate Tennessee with every bone in my body, but I believe this is the beginning of the climb. Um, I got them in my top five. I got them with the first round bye. And I think, Tennessee is going to do some special things this year. They got a promising young quarterback. They got a strong defense. They got returning production at receiver. And, I think Tennessee is ready to climb the mountain. I know they're going to get memed. I know they're going to have an LOL Tennessee moment at some point. But I don't know, man. I think it feels different for some reason. And, I could be wrong. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I hope they go 12. Well, that's not true. They play Georgia, 1-11. I hope they fall off a cliff towards the end of the season. I just don't think it's going to happen. So number 3, I'm going Notre Dame. We're going to see what this Notre Dame team is made out of week 1. Going 2, Kyle Field with a new quarterback, with some new players in place. How does Riley Leonard adjust to to the new system, to the new team around him? We got a new running back. Audrey Bestamade's gone. Does the defense stand tall? Do the receivers open up? What does this Notre Dame team look like, and how does it compare to what the Texas A&M team looks like? We're going to find out. I don't have Texas A&M on this top 25 list, as you can see, but I got Notre Dame. So I think that's a big prove-it game for both those sides, and Notre Dame makes the most of it long term, I'm guessing. So win or lose, Notre Dame comes out of that fired up and ready to make a scene for the rest of the season. Number 2, I'm going Kansas State. So this is kind of my TCU, Washington, wild card purple pick. I'm going Kansas State to win the Big 12. I think they have the most intriguing quarterback in the country, Avery Johnson. You push Will Howard out as a result. I'm sure Kansas State is waiting for him to step up, and he's a younger guy too. How did he a threat for the air, a threat on his legs? Are teams ready to handle that type of guy that Kansas State brings to the table? I don't think they're going to do it. I think Kansas State has a lot of their tough games at home over the course of the season, which results in more favorable matchups for them. I think Kansas State is ready to win their conference. They won their conference 2 years ago. There's still some of the guys left on this team. They know what it's like to win, and they want to go back for more. I think Kansas State is ready for the regular season and beyond. And now, finally, number 1, I got Michigan. If you're like me and you think Michigan is a bunch of cheaters, it's going to be a rough year for you, because I think this Michigan team picks up right where they left off. They know that the world is after them. They know that the world hates them, and they're ready to make a change, make an impact. Man, they're ready. They're hungry, and they want to beat everyone. I think, again, unfortunately for Michigan, almost all of their hard games are at home. Oregon's at home. Who's other? Texas is at home. They do have Ohio State on the road, but you had their number the last 3 years. Why can't you have it before? Ohio State is not on this list. So maybe they're not all there cracked up to be when it's all said and done. It's going to happen to someone, right? I don't have Georgia on this list. I don't have Ohio State on this list. Where's Miami? It's there are teams in the top 5 that go unranked. What's to say it can't be one of those guys? So I think Michigan just, through a dominant defense, an established run game, they got to figure out who their quarterback is, what the quarterback's going to look like. I think they'll do that early in the season and just keep it running. So I think Michigan starts off as your overall number 1 seed in the final college football playoff rankings. That does not mean they win the championship. There's a whole playoff that needs to be played, and we're going to get into that right now. So with that, this is what your final bracket would look like. So you have Michigan with the first round bye as the number 1 seed. You have Kansas State with the first round bye as the number 2 seed. You have Tennessee with the first round bye as the number 3 seed. You got Clemson with the first round bye as the number 4 seed. Easy enough. You got Boise State traveling to Notre Dame for that first round playoff game. That'll be a fun environment over in South Bend. You have, let's go that way. So that's 5. We need 6. That would be Alabama goes to Oh no, Utah goes to Alabama to to what? Yeah, to play. Yes, okay. I'm so sorry. I'm reading my notes and my bracket at the same time. Right. Okay. So yes, Boise State goes to Notre Dame. That's going to be a fun game. You got Utah going to Alabama, looking to shock the world and dethrone the mighty Crimson Tide. Can they get it done? You got Penn State going to Missouri. Battle of kind of upper middle conference foes. Missouri being the upper middle of SEC, Penn State being the upper middle of Big Ten. Who comes out of that victorious? And then you got Kansas going to Oregon to continue the Cinderella season. Can they do it over in Eugene? So I'm going to pick winners for those four right now. Boise State, Notre Dame, I'm going to pick Notre Dame. I think this Notre Dame team is stacked. It's going to be a tough place to play. So I'm taking Notre Dame over Boise State in a home playoff game, the first of its kind, the first of many. Alabama, Utah, I think Bama holds strong at home. That is a tough place to play. I know, it gets crapped on as like, oh, it's overrated, and I've been there. Like I can testify like what it looks like. It is still going to be 100,000 screaming, angry Alabama fans that want more. And they've never. I mean, again, no one's hosted a playoff game before on their home campus. That it's going to be dynamic. It's going to be Tuscaloosa is going to burn to the ground, right? Like it's going to be insane. So I'm taking Alabama to win that game. Missouri, Penn State. I like Missouri to defend home turf. This is where the end of Big Game James' his season, is. So it's close, but no cigar season for them. But again, I think this Missouri team is just deeper. It's better coached. It's more dynamic across the board. And then Kansas goes to Oregon. I think Oregon's just got too much firepower to lose at home like that. So I'm just taking, I'm taking the four home teams. Oregon will take care of business at home and get ready for their neutral site. So with that, we'll go to our semifinal matchup. Now I do have the bowl games actually mapped out for the sake of this. We'll start with which one are we going to start with? Let's go with Michigan. We haven't seen them yet. So Michigan, Oregon. I have that going to the Peach Bowl. This is a rematch of a regular season game that is in Ann Arbor and one that I will be attending. So we get to see if this is a revenge game or if this is a or if this is a proclamation of who's really the top dog, especially if you win back, both sets. Like you really are the better team. In this case, I do have Michigan moving on. Again, I think that defense is really good. That firepower at running back. We'll see what it looks like, but I think Michigan's going to end up in your Final Four with a Peach Bowl victory. So let's go over to Kansas State, Missouri. I have that as the Sugar Bowl. Kind of makes sense, right? An old school Big 12 SEC matchup. And I have this as the first conference champion to fall. I'll take Missouri to beat Kansas State. Take them to the Final Four. Again, this is where the experience pays off big for Missouri. We got a lot of seniors on this team that have been through it before, and I think the quarterback play of Brady Cook is going to carry this team at least one more round. So, taking Missouri over Kansas State in the Sugar Bowl there. Let's go Alabama, Tennessee. I have that as the Fiesta Bowl. So we're going out west. This is going to be a rematch of a game that was played in Knoxville and now is going to be played in Glendale. A little bit of a difference, right? But, is Tennessee able to defend their conference championship against an arch rival, or does Alabama spoil their season? I'm going to say Alabama wins this one. So I'm going to take Bama in the Fiesta Bowl over Tennessee. Leaving every Tennessee fan, irate. But I mean, in their case, I think hopeful for what lies ahead. Knowing that they're getting Nico back, knowing that they still have a good coach and a great recruiting class coming in. Tennessee fans have a lot to look forward to right now, as much as I hate to say it. And then Notre Dame, Clemson, I have that as the Rose Bowl. And in that case, I will take Notre Dame. I will have Clemson fall. The lone ACC team is out. again, Notre Dame is loaded from top to bottom. This is where I just think the lack of depth for Clemson gives out, and a strong-willed Notre Dame team comes on and takes it out in Pasadena. So with that, we'll go to our semifinal matches. So I got Michigan, Notre Dame on the left. I got Missouri, Alabama on the right. So an SEC matchup and then an old school rivalry that is going to bring out the best of toxicity or the worst, depending on how you like your games from every side there. I will start off with the Michigan side. So I got Michigan, Notre Dame. I have that as the Cotton Bowl. And in that case, down go the champs. There is no victor to be hailed. It is all for the Irish. I'm going Notre Dame reaching the national championship this year. Pause for a minute to think about that. Think of all the time Notre Dame has been overrated and overhyped, and their schedule. They lose a bad one. I think this Notre Dame team is built different. I'm taking Notre Dame over Michigan in the Cotton Bowl for Notre Dame to go to the national championship. Now, in the Orange Bowl, I got Missouri against Alabama. Who's winning that one and who's going to the national championship? In this case, the Cinderella run for Missouri is over. I'm going with Alabama. I think this is again where people are shocked when it all comes together for them. But that experience at quarterback, that experience in the playoffs, if you're Kalen DeBoer and what he brings to the table, I think people are sleeping on Alabama and really what they can do over the course of the season. But that leaves us to a national championship game of Alabama, Notre Dame. So that's there. Okay, perfect. I don't want to spoil it. So Alabama, Notre Dame. This is a rematch of the Manti Te'o Bowl. So that would have been, 2012, 2011, right around there. Would have been my guess. But who ends up winning this one? Does Notre Dame finally live up to the hype, break the curse? It's been, since 1988, I think was their last one. Alabama's last one would have been 2020. So they're a little bit of a drought too. But which one happens? Does Notre Dame restore itself to its former glory? Does Alabama pick up right where they left off with a fresh head coach? I got Notre Dame gear on. Is that a spoiler? Is it? It is not. I'm going with Alabama to win it all this year. They're not going to be. It's not going to be with Nick Saban. He's not going to be the one lifting it up, but it's going to be Kalen DeBoer this time. Again, I think Alabama is just built differently right now. I think the fact that so many of those 50-50 games are at home is going to go in Alabama's favor. But I think the camaraderie and the experience of the players that did stay together and the ones that did buy into what Kalen DeBoer is building down there is going to make this a special season for the Crimson Tide. And I mean, it's going to make the fans insufferable again. But in a sense, that's kind of how we like them, right? We like the cocky Bama fans because when they fall off the podium, it's funnier. But I think they're back on it. The 4-year drought is over, and a championship goes to Tuscaloosa. So, what are your thoughts on how this season is going to go? Who's a playoff team that I don't have? If you want to say Ohio State, if you want to say Georgia, I mean that's fair. I get it. They are loaded to the gills, but someone's got to fall off. So, who do you think is underrated? Where am I wrong? Where am I crazy? Like, comment, subscribe. But that is it for this episode. We are officially in week 0 for real. So tune in later in the week. I usually do a week 0 preview just in general, but considering there are 4 games, 2 of them are FCS, FBS matchups. I'm not previewing those. I imagine Hawaii takes care of business. I imagine that who's the other one? New Mexico takes care of business. I don't scout FCS schools. I just, I got to stick to my top 134, right? So I will have videos coming out later this week on Georgia Tech FSU. I have a deep dive for that ready to go. And then SMU Nevada, I have a deep dive for that ready to go. And, it should be about a 10-minute increment of, what to expect, who's going to win, what's the score, everything like that. So keep tuning in. appreciate the watches and sharing this experience together over the course of this season. Like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon.